Howdy folks, and welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with our mighty Jingles. We're looking today at one of the two German Tier 7 medium tanks, the PzKpfw 5 Panther. A legendary tank in real life, arguably one of the best tanks of the Second World War, if not the best tank of the Second World War. Here in World of Tanks, it's a very average Tier 7 medium tank. All of the Tier 7 medium tanks are pretty average, in my opinion. The American T-20 is quick, it's got a good gun, it's got no armour at all. The Russian T-43 is pretty much just a disaster. No, it's fast, no armour, gun selection is mediocre, if not downright awful. The VK3002DB is a very good brawling tank. In fact, it's probably the only German medium tank that is pretty much a brawling tank by design, but it has a mediocre gun selection. And then you have this, the Panther, and the Panther is, I feel, criminally underrepresented in World of Tanks because it's got that whole Tier 7 average medium tank thing. In real life, that gun with this turret, wrong turret, there we go, that's what an actual Panther looked like, and that gun was absolutely deadly. The L70, which has been removed from the Panzer IV in patch 8, it's still on the Stug, the Panther still has it. That was the Panther's gun. Unfortunately, here in World of Tanks, that, even after it's been buffed, that is just a crappy choice of gun for a Tier 7 medium tank. And unfortunately, the other guns on the Panther ain't that much better. The Panther has a very distinct playing style, if you want to be any good in it. And that is usually at odds with how people believe the Panther should be played, because it's a Panther. It's kind of the same problem that people have with the Tiger in the game. But that's, well, is that a problem with people's perceptions, or is it a problem with the tank? We shall see. This is the test server. I don't own a Panther on the live server, but where's my service record? I've had more than a couple of games in this thing. Come on, where is it? There's the Panther. There you go, Panther. 106 games played. And I do have a Master Tanker badge, which is obviously fairly recent. But in 106 games, somehow I managed to get 107 kills. No Top Guns, but a Confederate badge. Maximum destroyed in battle, 5. Hit ratio surprisingly low, 66%. But, you know, I've driven a Panther in a game or two. Sold it. Sold all of my Tier 7 mediums. Didn't like any of them. But I'm playing it again on the test server in the light of a couple of changes. First of all, the 7.5 matchmaker. This thing will never be thrown up against Tier 10s again, which is a relief. And also, they have buffed the 75mm L70. And is this now a reasonable choice of gun for the Panther? Well, we'll answer that question when we come to looking at the guns, but for now, you know how it goes. 1270 hit points. Is that more or less than the others? You know what? Don't know. I do not have any other Tier 7 medium tanks in my garage to compare. All I know is, yeah, it can take a few hits. It's quite, I mean, it's German. The German tanks are all quite heavy compared to the others. 47.53 tons with my setup. But it does have a very powerful engine, 750 horsepower. And while it is nowhere near as quick as you would think from just looking at the stats, it can do 48 kilometers per hour, but it's still a almost 50-ton tank. It takes a bit of a while to get up to that speed. It will reach that speed, but don't expect quick acceleration from this thing. And it doesn't turn very well at all. 28 degrees traverse speed is pretty crap. For just making sure I have the top suspension fitted, because I couldn't believe that number when I saw it. 28 degrees traverse speed is pretty crap for a medium tank. In fact, 28 degrees traverse speed is nothing to shout about for a heavy tank. The Panther is easily the least mobile of the tier 7 mediums. Now, the armour is interesting. It's 85mm at the front, 40 at the sides, 40 at the rear. So side and rear armour is absolutely pitiful, although there is some slope on it from the sides, but it's going to give you what? It's going to take it from 40 to 45 effective thickness on the side. Just forget it, right? The side and rear armour is crap. The frontal armour, however, is interesting, because this is the first real German tank that actually incorporated sloped armour. And I'm not talking about the Panzer III, IV, because that wasn't a real tank. The Panther was a real tank, and its design was influenced by the T-34. It actually had a bit of sloped armour at the front, which is a radical concept in German tank engineering at the time. But there you go. And it's 85mm thick at the front. Weaknesses, well, yeah, German tanks, lower glacis, massive weak spot. Transmission at the front, you're going to get a lot of fires in the Panther if you get shot in the lower glacis. It's just a fact of life. You've got to get used to this on the Tiger, not so much the Tiger, you've got to get used to it on the Tiger 2, you've got to get used to it on the E75, you've got to get used to it on the Panther, the 3002 DB. I've set those on fire by shooting them in the front. I don't even know if they have a frontally mounted transmission, but I have done it. The Panther 2 is the same. That lower glacis, curse of all the German tier 7 and up tanks. It's just horrible. However, that's a good 60-degree slope on the upper glacis. Subsequent German tanks have better sloping, but this is the first one that actually, has a decent amount of sloping, or any sloping at all, of the tanks that actually existed. So your effective frontal armour is closer to 100mm, which isn't bad. And also, you can start angling this thing effectively. Weak spots on the front, well, machine gun port, as always. From the front of the turret is very well armoured. The Schmalturm is 120mm thick at the front, and it has around about 20 degree of, or possibly even 30 degrees of angling. A decent gun mantle, not bad. These observation devices on the side of the turret are weak spots, and obviously the commander's cupola at the top is a weak spot. Turret sides, again, not so good. 60 at the side, 60 at the rear, and this exit hatch at the back is a weak spot too. But when it's only 60mm thick in the first place, who needs to aim for weak spots? So frontally and angled from the front, the Panther isn't bad. It's no heavy tank, but it's not bad at all. In fact, one of the very first games I played on the Panther, before I had this gun, and I was still using, it might have even been stock. I can't remember if I was using the L56 88mm or the L70 75mm, but I was on Himmelsdorf in this tank. It was almost a stock tank, and coming up the road from the the central square of the town, straight up the middle into the enemy base, there were two enemy tanks. I cannot remember what one of them was. One of them was a medium, and the other was an IS. And that IS must have bounced. Basically, I killed them both in a almost stock Panther, and they were blowing my tracks off like you would not believe. But they just kept bouncing off my angled frontal armour. I took some damage, but they both died. And that really turned me on to just how effective angling your armour can be if you come across people that don't understand it and just keep shooting and shooting, thinking, well, eventually I'm going to penetrate. And I liked the Panther, but what eventually let me down was, well, it was the gun selection. We'll come on to the gun in a second. We'll just check out the rest of the stats first of all. The turret, kind of slow as well. That Schmalturm turret, apologies if I'm mispronouncing the word, was never a very fast turner. It's the biggest weakness of the turret on the Panzer IV, or it was until they took it off the Panzer IV. and it's not a very, and that's why this tank isn't a brawling tank. It doesn't have the side armor, it doesn't have the speed, it doesn't turn fast enough, the turret doesn't turn fast enough. It's very much a support medium tank. Good view range, 308 meters, excellent signal range, yeah, German radios. And then we finally get onto the guns, and this is why the Panther is a support tank, but rather than any other reason, it's because of the gun selection. Now there are 4 guns to choose from. One of them is a howitzer, and it just looks wrong. And you know, this is a howitzer that is first available on, I think the Hetzer gets it. So it's a tier 4 weapon. It's a weapon for a tier 4 tank destroyer. It's got no place on a tier 7 medium tank. And I'm sure there are people that use it and use it successfully, but I ain't one of them, and I'm not going to sit here and recommend you do. So screw the howitzer. So there's the stock gun that comes with it, and this was the gun that used to be on the Panzer IV. It's still on the Stug. This is the L70 75mm. And one of the reasons I want to take another look at the Panther here on the test server with that new gun was to try to figure out whether or not this gun, taken off the Panzer IV, buffed, and available still on the Panther, is this going to be a decent gun on the Panther? Well, yes and no. It's got a good rate of fire. The penetration isn't bad. It's better than the 88mm penetration. The damage is very poor. 135 damage at tier 7 is pretty crap. It's pretty accurate, 0.35 accuracy, and the aiming time is slowish. It's all right. 2.3 seconds isn't bad. I mean, it's not great. 1.7 seconds would be great. 2.3 is okay. The aiming time isn't bad. So, other than the damage output, it's got a fast rate of fire, it's decent penetration, it's pretty accurate, the aiming time's alright. So what's not to like? Well, this is the competition. Now, there is the 88mm L56, which is not a great gun, but if you've gotten as far as the Panther, you'll be used to using it, because all the German medium tanks, all the tier 6s use it. So how does it stack up? Well, rate of fire isn't as good. Fine. Penetration isn't as good. Almost twice as much damage. Okay, I'm interested. Keep talking. Not quite as accurate. Okay. And the aiming time is the same. Right, so... So how does this work? Much slower rate of fire. Crappy penetration. Much better damage. Isn't going to hit as often, aims just as fast. So which one are we going to use? I mean, you know, there's the L70, and there's the good old 88. Now the good old 88 is a fine gun on a tier 6 medium. It's getting a bit ropey around the edges on a tier 7 medium though, and that was kind of always the problem that the VK3002 DB had, in that it was a great tank with a crap gun. Well, this isn't a crap gun anymore because of the matchmaking rebalance. Now you're not having to shoot at Mausers with this gun anymore. Tier 9s are the biggest thing that you're going to face. And that gun is fine on a tier 6 medium because tier 8s are the biggest things they're going to face. And you can get around the sides and rear of a tier 8, even the toughest tier 8 heavy, and still hurt them with that gun. But with that gun on a tier 7 medium, trying to get around the sides and rear of a tier 10, you're not even guaranteed to penetrate them with that. So, you know, even from the side and rear, 132mm penetration. Nah. This gun is not good enough for the Panther. It just isn't. So we're left looking at the 75mm L70. At least it has better penetration and a faster rate of fire, so you can probably make up the DPM difference, even though it does lower damage. Well, screw this gun too, because you pretty much have to use the comedy gun, the 75mm L100, and this is why. Because if you compare it to the L70, well, there's just no fucking contest. Look at it. Okay, the rate of fire is marginally slower, but I'll tell you what, with a gun rammer vents and 100% crew, that gun fires once every 4 seconds. Its penetration is astronomically better, 198mm. It's still got exactly the same crap damage, 135. It's a much more accurate gun, and it's still got the same okay aiming time. So screw the L70. That's the gun for the Panther. And unfortunately, that's the gun for the Panther, because it does only do 135 damage. Now, this is not news. The Panther has always been cursed with this crappy gun selection. Now, when you get to the Panther 2, all bets are off. Panther 2 is a great tank. It's got the long 88 from the Tiger. That's a beast of a gun. But, and about bloody time, because if this thing had to choose between a selection of crappy 88 and 75mm guns as well, and, it pretty much does, until you unlock the L71 88, that thing there, yeah, the Panther 2 is a bit of a grind as well. But at least the best gun on the Panther 2 isn't this joke of a weapon. And this is why I got sick of playing the Panther, because of that bloody gun. It really is. It was just a deal breaker for me. Situations where you'd get the drop on an enemy tank, and you get them in an ideal position for you, the absolute worst possible position for them, and you're all, I have you now. Bang, plink. And you watch 5% of his health disappear, and then his turret starts turning around, and you think, oh shit. You just couldn't play this thing like a medium tank. You had to play this thing like a tank destroyer. You had to hide in the bushes and take shots at long range. And this gun was absolutely designed for doing that. I mean, look at it. It looks like a sniper rifle in the first place. The Panther is a great long-range supporting fire vehicle, but it isn't a medium tank. It just isn't. Not with that selection of guns. No way. And you can find it to be a fun vehicle to drive. I did. But eventually that gun just started to get so frustrating. I mean, you will hit the target with that gun. It very rarely misses. And what you hit, you will penetrate. And then you'll watch a tiny sliver of their health bar disappear. And then you've got to hit them 8 or 9 more times before they even realise they're getting fired at. It's just the Panther is just an annoyance to enemy tanks. It's not a real threat. I mean, you're a threat to tier 6s and tier 5s, and so you damn well should be. It's a tier 7 tank. But other tier 7s, tier 8s, tier 9s, nobody really takes the Panther seriously. I'm certainly not afraid of one. When I see that gun, I think, I'm going to take a couple of hits, but I'll barely notice. And eventually I sold it. It has its charms, but for me they weren't enough to save it from the chopping block when I needed the cash to buy other tanks. And that went for all of my tier 7 mediums. Now, how does it play? Well, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. I've not played it since patch 7.5. So getting into games where you're not having to take down IS bloody 7s all the time is a nice change. And it does make the tank more enjoyable to play. It still has the same... I mean, the tank hasn't changed at all. It's still got the same problems that it had back in patch 7.2 or whatever it was, when I decided enough was enough. I've got the Panther 2 now, I don't need this anymore, and I sold it. In fact, I may have sold this to buy the Panther 2. The gun just doesn't do enough damage. And the guns that do enough damage don't hit and don't penetrate, so you have to use the gun that doesn't do enough damage. And unfortunately, that's the Panther for you. And that ain't changed. But it's weird, because despite all of that, I still like the Panther. And I like playing it, but I enjoy it and it frustrates me in equal measure. And I don't know if I enjoy it enough to keep putting up being frustrated by it. Well, Anyway, equipment fit. Well, as I said, gun rammer and ventilation. That thing fires like a machine gun. You get a shot off every 4 seconds with 100% crew, gun rammer and ventilation, and you need to pump the shots out as fast as you probably can to do an appreciable amount of damage to anything with this gun. This is all about damage per minute. It's certainly not alpha damage. It's very fast firing, very accurate, high penetration, accurate gun. You need to be pumping out the shots as quickly as possible to make people take you seriously. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. So you're going to want a gun rammer, you're going to want vents, just to improve the reload time, get those shots out of that barrel as fast as you possibly can. I have also gone with an enhanced gun lane drive, purely and simply. I mean, 2.3 second aiming time isn't bad at all. You could change it up a bit, maybe go, can you fit? No, you cannot fit a vertical stabilizer on this thing. So that would have probably been the other thing I might have recommended. But since you cannot fit a vertical stabilizer, well, I don't know, maybe binocular telescopes, because you pretty much have to play this thing like a Hellcat, except a Hellcat that doesn't do a lot of damage, and isn't as fast. So yeah, no vertical stabilizer, screw it. Gun lane drive, gun rammer, vents. Crew skills? Well, camo wouldn't be a bad idea, and I'm pretty sure that I actually had camo on my Panther crew. But for the test server, I've just gone with repairs. I didn't really care, to be honest. If I did care, what would I go for? Well, because of the way this thing plays, you want to see them long before they see you. You basically play this thing like an M18 Hellcat, and you won't go too far wrong. Just you have better armor than a Hellcat, and you're not as quick. So recon wouldn't be a terrible idea for the commander. Really wouldn't. Improve that view range even further. For the gunner, anything other than repairs or camouflage, you'd want snapshot. The other skills, not that impressive. Snapshot can help. I mean, it's a very accurate gun anyway, but you need to make every shot count with this thing because the shots don't do a lot of damage. So yeah, anything that improves the accuracy and guarantees that every shot you fire is going to hit, yeah, not a bad idea. Better than repairs or camo? Don't know, debatable. Any of those three skills would be useful on the gunner. The driver, well, you really probably want clutch braking. 28 degrees traverse speed is pretty shit for a medium tank. In fact, it's nothing to shout about in a heavy tank. So clutch braking is almost essential on this thing. You could also use off-road driving, but I'd go for clutch braking first, because it isn't the most mobile. It feels really sluggish when you're driving it. It will reach that 48 km/h top speed, but you'll struggle. The radio operator, again, if you were doing this for real and you weren't on the test server and you just wanted to pick a skill quickly to get into battle, and which is what I did, I would go for view range, situational awareness. And as for the loader, well, safe stowage would be great, but you would need to have it 100% before it had any effect because it's a perk. Pick camo or pick repairs, whatever floats your boat. And then when that reaches 100%, consider changing it for safe stowage. So, yeah, let's have a couple of games. Bear in mind this is on the test server, third version of the test server. Much better frame rates under the third version of the patch 8 test server. They have improved the renderer again. I was actually recording frame rates in excess of 70 FPS on certain maps. Still seems to be a bit of a problem when you go into sniper view, however. But anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about. Here's a game we had on Eurovanka. So here you go, the Panther on the test server, clocking up a very healthy frame rate with the very latest version of the new rendering engine. And this is the first game I've played in the Panther in, I don't know, 8 months? A long time. So we'll see if I've still got the knack. Standard battle, Muravanka, a magic forest, and let's see how we can do. So, tier 9 game, unsurprising, it is the test server after all. If you're driving anything tier 7, 8 or 9, you always get put into the highest possible battle tier, purely because everybody's driving tier 10s. And the team looks to be splitting up quite nicely. Not too many in the forest, which is good. Oh, and here come the scouts. Right, there's 2 fairly big artillery here. So I don't want to be... Oh, right, taking hits from something. That sounded like a low caliber hit, probably the T-50s. Yeah, there goes one of them. Yeah, he's bouncing. Bang, he's dead. Good. Got to keep moving, get in cover. You know how much artillery loves me. So we've got 2 of our scouts. It's a good start. And we've spotted 2 of their big boys and a tiger. So hopefully we can start softening them up. Oh, and there's one of their tier 9s. Okay, I don't have a line of sight on them from here. There's a Yag tiger down there by where the cap would be in an encounter game. And no, too many buildings in the way. I can't help out those fellas in the other side of the town. However, I can hit this IS-6. Yep. Oh, no. He's behind the hill. Alright, there is some cover there. If I stay angled, I might be able to move forward and... Where is he? Where? There we go. Right. Bang. Let's see if I can track him. Oh, bugger. He moved. There you go. Right, now we've got him. And look at the damage output here. Right, you will always know, when you look at that health bar, you'll always know when somebody else has hit him. Oh wait, we need to finish this IS-8 off. Can't afford to let an IS-8 get away on low health like that. Okay, now back to the IS-6. He doesn't appear to know where I am. Oh, but artillery does, so somebody spotted me. Yeah. Okay, he's gone. Right, threat dealt with. But this is the biggest problem of the Panther. The L100 gun is the only gun you can reasonably be expected to use on it, and it just doesn't do enough damage. That's gotta hurt. Alright, I should move. There's a good chance I was spotted there, and I don't want to get hit by artillery again. Oh, here comes another scout. Oh, well done to him for surviving this one. You see, it's going to take 5 or 6 shots even to kill a T-50-2. And this is a tier 7 medium tank. Super Pershing down there. Okay, that Lorraine is in serious trouble. We need to get up there and help him. No, too slow. Okay. We can have this T-26. Yep, he's got an SCI in front of him. Double team this fella. Come on, take his engine out, take his engine out. And he's on fire. And you know how much I love setting tanks on fire. Okay, what have they got left? There's a Lorraine over there. Ooh, can give him problems. And yeah, this thing just doesn't turn very well at all. And the speed is... Oh, crap, wasn't watching where I was going. Go on, leave some for me. This guy looks like he's quit. Why didn't that one hit? That's what. And look, this is what I'm talking about. Look at how his health bar is barely moving when we hit him. How many shots do you think it's going to take
Enemy armor is damaged.
to kill even something as easy to kill as a Lorraine? And you're really not a tank killer in the Panther, which is a bit of a shame because the real Panther certainly was. You harass, you aim for weak spots, take out critical components, you track enemy tanks so that your big guns can kill them, you soften them up, you keep them occupied. You get a lot of Confederate medals with the Panther. You don't tend to get many Top Guns. I'm not saying nobody ever scored a Top Gun in a Panther, I'm sure they have, but it's not something you should count on happening with any regularity. And now all they have left is the artillery, but he's got my number. He's hit me once. He's got 2 kills. And you know, if he's hiding in those bushes, waiting to derp the first tank that tries to rush his position, you know that first tank is going to be me. He's not here. Okay, perhaps he's over the other side. And look at this thing though. I mean, does this thing look like it's moving like a medium tank? Oh, there he is. And here we go. I'm the only medium tank left on the team. Do you think I'm going to get there ahead of everybody else? Not in this thing. It doesn't move like a medium tank. It doesn't turn like a medium tank. It certainly doesn't shoot like a medium tank. It's not a medium tank. It's a Panther. Panthers are different. So there's the result of that one, and that was all right actually, and that's about what you can expect to do in a Panther. I mean, I actually got 2 kills in that one. You tend to not really get a lot of killing blows with a Panther. You can, but you don't consistently do it, and it's because the gun doesn't do very much damage at all. You tend to plink away and chip away at the health, and then somebody with a bigger gun comes along, goes derp and finishes them off, and that happens a lot. You do get a lot of Confederates in the Panther. I've noticed that when I was playing it, because you damage a lot of tanks. You'll go bang bang bang, take a fifth of the health off one tank and he disappears, and another one pops up and bang bang bang, and so on and so on and so on. That isn't unusual when you're playing the Panther, and as you can see if you look at the detailed report, 23 shots fired, 17 direct hits, of which 15 penetrated. We hit 6 enemy tanks, 2 of which we killed. Yeah, that's pretty standard for a Panther game. And in that game we actually scored the most experience of anybody else on either team, which is nice. So yeah, looks like I've still got the knack of driving the thing. Let's have another game. Now this looks a lot better. Tier 7 tank and a Tier 8 game on the test server. Now, I didn't expect to see this happen. So, we should be able to do exceptionally well in this one. There isn't a tank in the enemy team that we can't penetrate. I mean, we even have an average chance of getting through the upper casement of the enemy Ferdinand. So, yeah, I fancy our chances in this game. So, Fishing Bay, Tier 8 game. Still standard battle only on Fishing Bay. I haven't seen any encounters on this one yet. Let's see what we can do. So they do have 2 T50-2s. We'll need to keep an eye on those as we, or an eye out for those as we cross the field to go up the western flank. Now, who else is going up here with us? We've got an SU-101. Good. And that seems to be it. They are. There's the scouts. Type 59 is going for the village. Our T-50's running for his life. He's lit up a lot of targets for us, though. Now, you do have the traditional crappy German gun depression. Okay. Missed. Yay! Oh, we're being shot at. One more shot. Missed. Get back. You do have to expose quite a bit of yourself when you're firing over a ridgeline because of the lousy gun depression. And the Panther has the same lousy gun depression. Panther 2, sorry. And the E50 has the same lousy gun depression. As does the E50M. Get used to this when you're driving German tanks. Okay, now that's more like it. Okay, where did that one go? Hello? Oh, at last.
Enemy is hit.
What is going on with this gun?
Enemy is hit.
Where are these shots going? This thing's supposed to have .32 accuracy. It's one of the most accurate guns in the game. What is going on with this gun? Well, I don't want to go spotting an ISU 152 by myself, because he's not going to one-shot me, but he could leave me feeling very, very, very sorry for myself. And that KV3... No, I'm never going to hit him. There's a lot of mediums up there I just don't have line of sight of, and that Pershing up ahead has taken a bit of a beating finding out what's up there for us, so he needs support. T-26, Super Pershing from the front. Nah, unlikely. If I hit his turret, I could penetrate his spaced armour and possibly penetrate the gun mantle / turret behind it, but I'm not going to take a maybe he's still there shot and give my position away. Ideally, I'd like to be on the other side of that ridge to my right, to my left, sorry, sneaking up on that. And then it just occurred to me, hold on, I'm on the test server. I don't have to pay attention to where the roads go. See, I don't want to be approaching that ISU 152 across this open field, especially not now that I've probably been spotted by these other fellas. And at that point it just occurred to me, roads are for the weak. I'm on the physics test server. So over we go. Even though he slid down the side of that hill, we didn't take any track damage. So I'm coming for that ISU. And it's at this point I get a very nasty surprise. Whoa! So fire, trying to blow his tracks off. Luckily he's not pointing his gun at me. And he appears to have just given up. So me and this Pershing are going to have fun with this fella.
We've hit them hard.
And we're winning 8-6. But they've now got at least 2 mediums and a heavy with a clear run at our base. Nobody seems to be interested in doing anything about it. And we're being capped. Oh, great. Alright, well, I'm a tier 7 fast medium tank. With a very accurate gun. Surely I can do something about it. Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? The thing about the Panther is it'll do 50 kph going downhill, no problem. But if at the bottom of that hill there's another hill going up,
Penetration.
21 kilometers per hour, seriously, and I'm not even stopping to shoot at that Super Pershing. I'm just beeline straight back for the base, and it's just not fast enough.
We've lost a track.
And there you go, defeat. No kills, and I don't even know where half our shots went. What is going on? And then suddenly I remember why I sold the Panther. That legendary accuracy, that .32 accuracy of the L100 is a work of fiction. It is not as accurate. The gun is not as accurate as the stats say. It just isn't. Look at that. 19 shots fired, 10 hit the target. It's a 50% hit rate. Slightly more than 50%. Of the 10 that hit, 9 penetrated, but .32 accuracy? Get the fuck out of here. No way. No way whatsoever. And that's what frustrated me about the Panther. It's all coming back to me now. Because you've got that comedy gun that does a piddling amount of damage when it hits. But the stats say, yeah, well, yeah, it might not be very accurate, but it fires quickly and it penetrates what it hits, and wow, look at the accuracy. But it just lies to you. It is a horrible gun. You can have fun with it, but it's not .32 accuracy. It just isn't. I don't know what the real accuracy of that gun is, but .32 is just a lie. The shots this thing misses, and in some games, it's kind of like the BR-10. In some games, it is like firing a laser, and in other games, like that one, it just couldn't hit the side of a barn from the inside. A gun with .32 accuracy, get the fuck out of town. No way. So I wouldn't buy the Panther again. You've got to go through it to get to the good German medium tanks, the Panther II, the E50, and the legendary E50M. And these three are proper medium tanks. But the Panther, it just isn't. It's a stop, and it's a real shame because the Panther is an icon. Well, this Panther is an icon. There we go. That tank was a legend. But the thing that they've saddled us with at Tier 7 in the German medium tank line, I don't know what it is, but it isn't a Panther. It's a stepping stone on the way to a good tank, the Panther II. I mean, you know, I'm sure there are people out there who adore their Panthers, and if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. I just found it equal measures fun and frustration, and that hasn't really changed since I sold mine. It's still just as annoying. At least now with the matchmaking it gets, it doesn't get into tier 10. You know, you're not getting annoyed by it in tier 10 games anymore. And when that gun behaves itself, you can penetrate, damage a little the tier 9s. And on paper, it is accurate enough with its .35. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong bloody gun. Here we go. Incompatible turret. With its .32 accuracy, on paper, it is accurate enough to aim for weak spots on tier 9 heavies like the E75. But it just misses. I don't know what's going on with that gun. I genuinely believe that gun has some serious problems, and I cannot believe it's been... it must be 8 months since I last played my Panther. And I cannot believe this gun is suffering from the same inaccuracy problems as it was 8 months ago. It just defies description. Boggles the mind. And so until I hear that something's been done about it, I wouldn't be buying the Panther again. Unfortunately, like I said, if you want the Panther II E50, E50M, you're gonna have to. And you never know, you might have better luck with it than I did. I mean, what am I talking about? Where's my service record again? I have had good luck in my Panther. And I don't want this to come across as an incredibly negative review. But I realise it's going to come across as an incredibly negative review. Where's it gone? Come on, Panther, where are you? There we go. Yeah, 53% win rate is okay in random battles. 107 kills in 107 games. Yeah, that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just so frustrating to play. You have to work real hard to get a good result in this tank. And with such trivial damage output, you rarely feel as if you're making a difference to the success of the team, even though you are, definitely, because you can get relatively quickly to, you know, you're kind of like a kind of slower, bigger, better armoured Hellcat. In fact, T25/2, that's exactly what this tank is like. And I had exactly the same problems on my T25/2. There you go, moment of revelation. It's just come to me. I figured out what is wrong with the Panther, in my opinion anyway. The T25/2 is just a bigger, slower, just as well armed, or at tier 7, just as not well armed as the M18 Hellcat. It has none of the advantages of the Hellcat, other than the same gun, which isn't an advantage, a tier higher. And there's nothing special about it. And yet, the T25/2 is one of my most successful tanks. I got 2 Bolter's medals in it. Where's my service record on my T25/2? I'll show you what I mean. I hated it. It was just so annoying to play. After playing the M18 Hellcat, it was everything that the M18 wasn't. Come on, where is it? There you go. Look at that. 63% win rate in random battles. 81 games, 115 kills, maximum destroyed in battle, 8. Average experience, 719 on the T25/2. And I hated it. But I did really, really well at it. And it's the same with the Panther. I really don't like it. I thought that, the real tank was amazing. I don't like it in World of Tanks. And yet I do well with it most of the time. So it's a conundrum wrapped in an enigma, sealed in a mystery. I just do not get this tank. If you do, good for you. Congratulations on not making it work. I can make it work, I just don't enjoy it. But congratulations on enjoying with it and putting up with the frustrations that are part and parcel of driving this tank well. So there we go. That was the Panther review. Long overdue, but I definitely won't be buying this tank again. It really, really can be fun, but then it just smacks you up the head with accuracy problems of the gun in the next game you play, and you end up chewing your keyboard in frustration. And I can't be putting up with that anymore. So I hope you enjoyed the replays anyway. Take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.